All right, so should we get started?
Yeah, I think that we can do that. I just started recording as well.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I'm not sure if Shawan is going to join. Well, it's pretty straightforward today. Mohan is going to share with us all the good stuff from Unidata. And I think if we have time, we'll continue the discussion about the functional spec, and maybe if we have time, we can sort of do a quick run through of the milestones that we put in for year one. And I'm thinking before the next meeting next year, a couple of us will try to put those in the system, start using the project management tool. Anand, do you have anything to add on the agenda?
No, I think that's great, Carol. I guess, yeah, for this, for the second quarter, at least we should look through the old year and maybe through the second quarter, we can watch what are the, I guess, deliverables or milestones we promised. And yeah, based on that, we can, yeah, Carol and I can add it into Asana.
All right, Mohan, take it away.
Good morning, everyone. Can you all hear me?
Yes,
We can.
We can see you, we can hear you. Hi, Shawan.
good morning.
To be able to hear me is more important than to be able to see me. Can I present, or somebody has to hand the baton to me?
Yeah, you can, Mohan.
Okay, excellent. Are you able to see my presentation window?
Yes.
Excellent, excellent. Good morning to everyone. I just thought that I would give you a quick overview of who we are, what we do, and our offerings in terms of our products and services. Many of you are not interacting with the Unidata on a regular basis. So I just thought I'll provide a little bit of a background before going into our tools, our data sets, and our software, etc. You know, Unidata was founded in 1984. So we completed 37 years a couple of months ago. So it's one of the longer running cyber infrastructure facilities. And we are actually tagged as a facility by the National Science Foundation Division of Atmospheric and Geospace Sciences. So our primary role is to serve as a facility for the Earth system science community. Our mission in simplest terms is providing data and software services to advance the Earth system science research and education. And to that end, we acquire and distribute lots and lots of real-time meteorological data. We acquire, develop, and provide software for accessing, managing, analyzing, and visualizing geoscience data, providing support and training to our user community. And one of the other activities is engaging the community and doing outreach. Sometimes on behalf of NOAA, the National Weather Service, or other organizations as well. And please interrupt me at any time. I always prefer questions to be asked as we move along rather than at the end, so that there is better context for everyone when you ask the question and when I respond. This is a busy slide. but it actually captures in a snapshot all of Unidata's products and services. In one block, you have data acquisition, and data delivery or data provision. And in that category, we actually have 30 different data streams that provide real-time neurological data. And by 30 different data streams, I mean data from operational numerical weather prediction models that NOAA and other agencies run, satellite data, radar observations, surface, upper air, buoys, ships, profilers, what have you. So, there are 30 such data streams flowing 24/7, 365 to our users who would like to receive those data, and they get to subscribe and decide what they want to receive. So there is a fine granularity in terms of data reception at a site, at a location. To be able to provide all the data, we collect and access a lot of the data predominantly from NOAA, but not exclusively. We have data streams coming from the Navy, data sets coming from organizations abroad, and all data sets coming from the private sector, even when it comes to lightning observations. And those data are collected and streamed to our end users. We have two different ways for our users to access our data or receive our data. We have a push system through a technology system we call Internet Data Distribution System that is powered by a software from Unidata called the LDM, or the Local Data Manager, which is a bit of a misnomer because it actually sends data from any node on the internet to any other receiving node on the internet. And we also have a suite of software that we develop, LDM I just mentioned. For remote data access, we have what we call Threads Data Server and a suite of APIs associated with that. We have another remote data access system called Abstract Distributed Data Environment, or ADDE, primarily used by the satellite community. We have a data server called EDEX that is used by our clients that use the National Weather Service, NOAA developed AWIP software, which Unidata has taken and refined, and we distribute to hundreds of organizations around the world. And we also have something that is called a Ramada server for very specific applications. We have data management and data processing software, NetCDF, that is the one that is most widely used from Unidata. It has about 150,000 downloads every year, around 180 plus countries. It's a very heavily used software in the geosciences. In some ways, it's a de facto standard for geosciences alongside of HDF. We have other kinds of data management software called UD units for unit specification across all of our data servers, for connecting data servers and software, a pipe called Siphon, and for data transformation from one format to another, Rosetta. We also have a suite of analysis and visualization packages. Currently, the one that is Unidata is supporting include Macidas, IDV, AWIPS, and MetPy, and we just ended support for GEMPAC last year. We also support the GIS community through our Threads data server, which has WCS and WMS OGC specifications as APIs. We provide KML and shapefiles and geotiffs as well. Um, our governance is community-based, and we provide support through email, community mailing lists. We have about 60 different mailing lists. We run annual training workshops in Boulder pre-pandemic. We used to do that. They have stopped for the last 2 years. And we also used to go around the country and do about 10 to 12 workshops at different locations, predominantly at universities, that we call regional workshops tailored to the local user needs. Here is a very quick snapshot of our internet data distribution system. As you can see, you can ingest data from any point on the internet. So radar data from the National Weather Service gets ingested from 168 radar locations in the US and a few abroad as well. Operational model output gets ingested from the National Center for Environmental Prediction within the National Weather Service and other agencies. Satellite data gets ingested both by Unidata in Boulder as well as Space Science Engineering Center at University of Wisconsin and a few other universities. And people can pick and choose what data they want, what areas or what bulletins, what subsets of those data they want. For example, if you're in Illinois, you may be interested in radar surrounding Illinois, for example, from sites like Romeoville or Central Illinois National Weather Service office or near St. Louis, etc. Whereas if you are in California, you will be interested in radar sites along the West Coast. So there is a tremendous level of flexibility. The 30 different data streams flow through the IDD/LDM to about 700 computers worldwide, 24/7, 365. And the amount of data we ingest into the system is about 2 terabytes every day. And the amount of data that flows out of our Boulder data facilities through the UCAR NCAR network averages around 60 terabytes every day. We are the biggest user of the network pipe within all of UCAR and NCAR by far. The remote data access that complements the IDD LDM push delivery system has multiple delivery systems that I described earlier, and some of the protocols that we support are OpenDAP, NetCDF Java, ADDE, HTTP, FTP, WCS, WMS, as I mentioned earlier, and through AWIPS eDEX. And there are a few more, such as NetCDF subset service and a couple of others as well for geotips. Yeah.
Sorry,
go ahead.
Since you encouraged us to ask questions.
Please, yes.
Very interesting and powerful system, such distributed way. I was wondering your specific technologies to move this data around this many servers and locations, since we sometimes get challenged to move large amount of data quickly around, locations, specific tools or technologies you are using that could benefit us and the broader community beyond Unidata community?
The LDM is freely available to any organizations, and literally dozens of organizations download that software and use it for their own internal use. For example, NOAA, NASA, many private companies use LDM to move data between their locations and sites. So LDM is clearly one tool that iGuide can use for moving data. Because UCAR is an educational institution, we have a reasonably strong research network pipe access with 10 to 40 gigabit pipes out of our Boulder and NCAR Wyoming Supercomputing Center facilities where Unidata operates its servers. And all of the data moves through internet to, at pretty high speeds. And most universities are on internet too. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, we might try this out. I definitely encourage others to look into this because when data volume is large, Globus certainly has been a popular tool to transfer a large amount of data, but Globus recently got into the commercial space. So the open source version, I think, now has some constraint in terms of the full services Globus provides. But anyway, so LDM, as I understand, does not necessarily have complete binding with the data formats and models of Unidata. So it's a generic data transfer tool.
That's right. You can move stock market data using LDM. It doesn't care what data you put into its bits and bytes, essentially, on one end, and bits and bytes are delivered on the other end. So it is completely data agnostic.
That's cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
So Mohan, I have a quick question. So LDM, we used to actually get the NextRed data from NCAR. We were, if I remember right, we were like a level 2 data distributor. So we used to run LDM, but I'm not familiar with it. So is it a push kind of
Correct. It is a
transfer?
push system. That's right. It uses RCP, but it's a push system. That's right.
I see.
And it has a certain buffer, about an hour or two, depending on how beefy your local machine is, so that if there is an outage of 30 minutes or so, the data don't get lost, but they are essentially sitting in a queue in a buffer, and then they're delivered when the network is back up. Sorry, go ahead.
So the underlining tools are RCP, is that correct?
That's
Sounds
correct.
like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Because Globus uses grid FTP, so we may look at some of these differences and see which way may benefit our needs.
Yeah, definitely. Xiaowei used a term that triggered me to mention that every software from Unidata, with the exception of Makaidas, which comes to us from Space Science Engineering Center at the University of Wisconsin, is freely available via open source, and we host them on GitHub. And I'll mention that later on. So everything is available to anyone who wants, no restrictions. It doesn't have to be .edu. It can be commercial company, .gov, any organization anywhere in the world can download and use our data, and it's all open source, so you can modify it if you so choose. Just to wrap up this slide, the amount of remote data access from our remote data access servers that Unidata operates, at different locations is about 3 terabytes every day. So people come and get the data as they need, when they need it, sometimes directly from their local tools they use, like, for example, MATLAB or one of our tools like the IDV or ArcGIS and things like that. Speaking of data hosting, we also work closely with the NOAA data, open data program, and as part of their big data and Amazon's open data programs. So some of the data, like the Nextrad level 2 you mentioned, we provide in real time, but if you want to access non-real-time data or access data from other locations that you are not getting from the LDM, we actually have connections with the AWS. The data are sitting in S3 buckets, and Unidata tools can directly access them and use them. For example, we do that, as I mentioned later on Jetstream through the Unidata Science gateway. And there is no egress because there is a agreement between AWS and Internet 2 for a free movement of data. So there is no egress that's paid for. In terms of our analysis and visualization tools, we have currently 3 going forward. At the moment, we have 4, but the 4th one, Mercatus, is going to be soon phased out. That's why I didn't make it to the slide. Those are the integrated data viewer, which is the only 3-dimensional analysis and visualization tool we have. The other 2 are 2-dimensional tools, AWIPS, which was developed by the National Weather Service and NOAA for use in all the forecast offices. But they, Unidata and Weather Service had an agreement more than a dozen years ago to make it available to the broader community. So we were the first one to get access to the AWIPS source code, back around 2009, 2010, and we have been taking their software and essentially stripping out all the non-weather service components to make it easier to deploy at any university in any lab, rather than require the full hardware and capabilities in a typical National Weather Service office. And the newest one is NetPy, which has become one of our most popular analysis and visualization tools, as I will mention later. Our infrastructure is used worldwide in many organizations. The Weather Service adopted the LDM as part of the national data movement infrastructure for NOAA back in 2004. And many organizations and companies use our LDM software, our threat software, NetCDF, of course. All of those are used in many locations around the world, including the European Center, and NASA, many meteorological services, and even high-profile efforts like the IPCC and CMIP6. And companies also integrate NetCDF and our threads tools into MATLAB, IDL, ArcGIS. Unidata worked closely with Esri to make NetCDF a core component for data IO that are in NetCDF format in ArcGIS. About 6 years ago, Unidata made a concerted effort to move our data sets to the cloud because data sets are becoming too large and data transport was becoming more of a challenge for universities in terms of their pipes, which were not keeping up with the volume of data in certain universities. And our philosophy at that time was, instead of bringing data to scientists at universities, we need to bring their scientific analysis and visualization tools to the data in the form of data proximate analysis and visualization capabilities. In doing so, we wanted to exploit the on-demand resource provision that comes with the cloud, elasticity of the cloud, scalability of the cloud, and virtualization aspects of the cloud. And we have been using this philosophy and approach for cloud-enabled deployment of infrastructure as a service, data as a service, software as a service, all leading up to the delivery of science as a service to our researchers. I mentioned Jetstream a short while ago. That has become our key cloud platform, our infrastructure. and facility to use. For about 2 years, we tested our capabilities, our software on commercial software platforms like AWS and Microsoft Azure. But we couldn't sustain those costs in the long run. So we have been relying on Jetstream for about 5 years now, continuously. And we have been working with them very closely to make sure that Jetstream actually is not just a research platform like other Exceed facilities, but actually can permit use cases such as Unidata, because ours is not batch computing. Ours is 24/7 sustained services, so we cannot have downtime, at all. So our software, like threads and all the other ones, run continuously. There is no running for a few minutes, stopping, and then rerunning them. And we on the Jetstream cloud platform, we run the Unidata Science Gateway. And we have deployed all of our remote data analysis and visualization tools and Jupyter Notebook platform and Jupyter Labs, and connected our data services to software tools, such as the IDV, AWIPS, and others. Here is just another snapshot, and there is a URL for the Unidata Science Gateway. One downside of using an Exceed allocation approach for using resources on Jetstream is that every year we have to get it renewed. So we have to submit a new proposal, justify why we need it. But they have been extremely, cooperative and collaborative, and it's been a great partnership with the Jetstream team. Here is just what a Science Gateway attributes, are. At the very center, you have a whole set of services for authenticating users. There's a workspace for computations. There's data integration, data APIs. You have software capabilities, and you have, of course, the hardware infrastructure. And there is a community that can use the Science Gateway, work collaboratively with one another, etc.
Mohan, if you don't mind, I ask a question really quick?
Please, yes, go ahead.
So I saw you had that the slide before, it mentioned Xarray as well. So I was curious because it seemed like so Pangeo, which is based on Xarray and like computing using Dask. I was wondering, is that like replacing sort of OpenDAP based access of the data or computing on the data, or is
no? It's in addition
to,
to, because Xarray brings, Unidata was a collaborator on Pangeo when Pangeo was initially funded. So we believe in both the Xarray as well as ZAR, which is the other one that we use, and Dask for distributed computing. So we have been leveraging, these other capabilities and integrating them all together, in our workflow as well. So it doesn't replace, because there is a huge community of OpenDAP, and NetCDF Java and other API users that we need to continue to support going forward. But in the long run, hopefully we can converge on a fewer set of these powerful access tools. Continuing with our gateway services, here's a list of all the services we provide through our gateway. I have mentioned many of them, but I want to spend more time on some of the newer tools that are more widely used nowadays, and that's like Jupyter Notebooks and Jupyter capabilities through our gateway. As I mentioned, we also run AWIPS in the cloud and the edX servers, and our community of over 85 universities are now running AWIPS clients, but they don't need to worry about data ingest into their AWIPS systems. We take care of it by moving all of the data to our Science Gateway on Jetstream. These are some of the universities that are using our AWIPS tools. I think this is a repeat probably. Yeah. Yeah, I think this is a repeat, sorry. The community has been creating a lot of these kinds of visualization tools with the notebooks we provide for them. To that end, we have a collection of all these notebooks and Python scripts in what is called Unidata Python Gallery. You can access it through our GitHub instance. It has over 50 different analysis capabilities directly, off the shelf that you can readily use with your own data sets. One of the things we started doing almost 4 years ago was to get the community to learn how to use our Python, MetPy tools and notebooks. Every Monday, we started publishing a new video primer, for users we call MetPy Mondays because they were released every Monday. And as of last week, we have published 204 of these tools almost without fail every single Monday, with the exception of maybe holidays around Christmas and New Year's. And these have become incredibly popular. So you can literally learn how to do plot contours, using KMZ, which is a GIS capability, with KML files, or how to compute, ISO tags, or plot soundings, do satellite data visualization and overlay, model output, etc. Look at the radar data in different forms and shapes. And these are all available through the YouTube MetPy channel. We have also Dockerized for portability and reproducibility many of our applications that are listed here, and we provide access to the community, download these Docker images and use them with their local applications. Essentially, a form of open source and reproducible science approach to enabling Unidata services. We have also been taking advantage of somewhat modern tools like Kubernetes, because sometimes with the number of users hitting our Jupyter Notebook servers can go up significantly if a large class of 100 people are trying to do their lab work at the same time, or we are running a workshop for 40 or 50 people. And to scale our servers, we have been collaborating with the Exceed ECSS services people, Andrea Zonka at UCSD, to apply, the tools they have developed, zero to Kubernetes for Unidata applications, and we have been using them to support large cases. I'm close to wrapping up here. To me, our Science Gateway, JustStream capability, and Jupyter notebooks were almost like a godsend when the pandemic started to happen in March, because we could not hold workshops, we could not travel to universities, and therefore we had to rely entirely on remote data servers in the cloud and support our universities that were still doing local workshops for their audiences. But we were supporting those workshops and working with the local host and offering our Science Gateway services for remote learning throughout the COVID lockdown, which has been continuing and in some ways has resumed because of Omicron. And in the last 20 months, we have supported 14 universities and 700 students through our Science Gateway workshops that were tailored for local. So we actually would create a local version for that particular campus or for that particular workshop in our cloud system on Jupyter. And the quote unquote learners or students would be using those resources. That was my last slide. I'll stop here. I might have gone a little over. Apologies for that, but I'm happy to answer any question you have.
That's great. Thank you, Mohan. I have a quick question about the slide about Kubernetes. Did you use Kubernetes on Jetstream too, or Jetstream?
Yeah.
Okay.
And in some ways, we have been kind of the avant-garde for the Jetstream providers, although these are not that, that state of the art in the research community in the IT world. But we had to get Docker onto Jetstream. We were one of the first ones to, take advantage of it, or you make a request for it. Same with the Kubernetes. So in a way, it has been a great partnership because we have also helped Jetstream folks in many ways, and they have helped us tremendously with all the help they have provided, not just the Jetstream hardware. And for those reasons, I'm a co-PI on Jetstream 2, which is coming online as we speak. Only for that particular, from that angle, I'm not a hardware provider or any such thing, but they have really enjoyed this partnership because we are a facility. We are not a researcher. We don't do research in Unidata. We only take what is available and shape it and change it in ways that will work with our users. We seldom dabble in research on our own. Not that we don't do it. It's our primary focus is on making sure that our university community benefits from the work we do, and as a collateral benefit, thousands of organizations benefit from the work we do because NSF has made investment in Unidata that has produced all these things. Everything is freely and available through open source. So it has been a win-win for the whole enterprise.
Yeah, I think, this is a great use case for them. You have scale, you need a sustained services. So I think typically, at least our limited experience, we've been using Jetstream for prototyping, for development. We do have one service running on there that's kind of a more or less operational, but your scale is much bigger, and also you have a lot of different services that need to be integrated. So that definitely I can see why they would enjoy this partnership.
Yeah.
So I guess now we're just open for comments and questions.
In terms of, I guess, this slide you're showing us, I guess, scaling on Kubernetes, using Kubernetes on Jetstream, we also tried it somewhat on Jetstream. Maybe we did not have the same expertise as you guys had. Our efforts were not as successful. We were able to get a prototype running and everything. That's fine, but not at scale. Like we encountered many challenges. And one of the major challenges was like the software behind it keeps shifting, right? So like it's difficult to keep up the very new things that are there in Jet on Kubernetes side. On the for example, I think we were looking at Terraform and other things which are built on top of it in order to do this. So maybe we want to learn a little bit more from your experience on how you guys did this
yeah, that's a great question, and I will right off the bat say that we could not have done it without the help from Andrea Zanka. Every exceed allocation comes with 0.25 FTE ECSS, extended computing support services, and we have benefited immensely. So it was a fantastic partnership between our staff here at Unidata, particularly Julian Chastain and Andrea, to make it happen. And he continues to support us in important ways. So without that support, I'm pretty sure we would have had the same difficulties you're describing. So that, to me, having that ECSS has been extremely valuable, and I hope it will continue in some shape or form once Exceed goes away.
I had a question on the data. Oh, sorry, Anand, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
So Mohan, maybe I missed it, but so these notebooks on Jupyter Hub, it's on Jetstream, but is the data that it's computing on also on Jetstream? Because you had mentioned data on AWS and other.
Yeah. Some data are in AWS, particularly archive data is on AWS, but we move all of those 30 data streams I mentioned earlier to Jetstream, and we keep it there for a certain number of days. To me, it's more like a storage tank where the data resides for a certain amount of time. So the data is co-located with our applications on Jetstream.
Okay.
Quickly, I wanted to show you our GitHub instance where all of our tools are, and you can see the URL at the top, github.com/Unidata, and everything is available. And you'll see that netcdfc is by far with most commits. And
Mohan, we are seeing your slides. We're not seeing.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I should. I have to figure out how to change the thing that is. I guess I need to stop it and go to something else.
Yeah, I think you might be sharing an application rather than your desktop.
Okay. Let me share again, and it'll pop me with the. Are you seeing my GitHub now?
Yep.
Awesome. Okay. Yeah, it was on PowerPoint, not the browser. So you can see our Unidata GitHub, tools and location at the top in the URL. We also have the notebook gallery I mentioned, and here's a link to it. It's also Unidata GitHub.io, and all of the galleries and capabilities are, as I scroll, you can see. You can do all these things right off the bat. You don't have to, write your own script for any of these things. Just point to your data sets if you're not using our data sets. And here's a location of the MatPy Mondays on YouTube. They just celebrated about a month ago the 200th publication of the MatPy Mondays. So let me see if I can. Yeah, here is the. I don't know if you were able to hear it because I was able to hear it on my on my headphone, but they just celebrated the 200th publication of the MatPy Mondays. Not too long ago. It says September 27th.
Just curious, how many people are working in Unidata?
We are a small program. I have literally as of today about 26 people, of which there are 3 people on the admin staff, and there are a few of us who go to meetings and don't write software or do anything other than write grants run the program,
Mhm.
and we have 2 people on our sysadmin staff that operate our data infrastructure, and 16 software engineers.
Okay. Yeah, because I was thinking, to have a sustained effort like this, it's no small feat. So.
Yeah, people still seem surprised actually that we are that small, because when I go to conferences, particularly in
Mhm.
not in our field, and talk to people, he says, I thought Unidata was hundreds of people. I said, I wish.
So that tells you how much money you can ask next time.
I've tried, trust me, I've tried.
I also have a question, Mohan. You mentioned you were using Amazon. So I guess I'm interested in hearing your transition and your experience. So have you moved off of Amazon now completely on Jetstream as a operation, or
Yes,
you're on both?
yeah. No, we have a very small operation on Amazon because we haven't gotten around to moving some of our back end, work from Amazon, but it's tiny and it's not community facing at all. So everything that is community facing, is now on Jetstream. And
So
of
all
course,
the
we
data.
also have non-clouds thing at UCAR. We operate our own data servers as well at the NCAR Wyoming Supercomputing Center. So that is in addition to Jetstream.
So
Jetstream is the
your
only
data
one that
sets
has a
are
gateway. Yeah, they are
So are
replicated.
your data sets all replicated on Jetstream on Exceed?
Correct. And on
Okay.
NCAR Wyoming Supercomputing Center, and we have another redundant center in Boulder, what used to be the old MCAR up at the Mesa. So
I see.
so we have 3 places. So if there is some failure somewhere, we can immediately switch within seconds our users to other facilities.
Thank you.
Yeah, that redundancy is extremely crucial to us so that there is no data loss. And as you can imagine, last week there was that major tornado outbreak. And what if, a Jetstream had been down, or a UCAR facility had been down for, 6 hours during that period? Our community would be, at a loss. One tidbit. This is a great story that we actually wrote up for NSF many years ago. The Weather Service did not use the LDM to connect all of the radars and bring the data and provide the data to all the radio stations and Weather Channel and things like that. And they had a success rate of 66% to move all of the data and archive them in Nashville. They switched to LDM, and now it is almost 100%, except for when the radar is down for maintenance. So anytime I tell people, when you see a radar image on your local TV, Unidata was involved behind the scenes, because that data you are seeing because of the LDM that connects. So as a result, we are continuing to train the Weather Service staff and employees on the use of LDM, because it's become a critical infrastructure for the Weather Service. Other questions, comments? If not, I'm going to turn this back over to you, Carol.
All right. Well, that was a wonderful presentation. It is very impressive, all the services and capabilities you have. I think it's a wealth of capabilities, and personally, I was involved in some of the in-car stuff at Purdue. We used to be a LDM server or data distributor I don't know if we still operate it. I suspect that we don't.
No, you don't.
Okay.
We just signed a new agreement literally, a week ago, and I know that Purdue is no longer one of the providers. So there are more people coming to Unidata for that reason.
I see. Yeah. We RCAC, our research computing used to operate that for some of the faculty, but I guess they probably moved on to some other research. Yeah, and we Rajesh and I were just reminiscing a little bit. He dug up a year 2007 email that talked about how we were our data portal was connected to the Fresh server and getting data streams. So it was interesting. It kind of all come back to me.
Yeah, the point I want to close with is that all of these things are available for use in iGuide as iGuide chooses. So we are here to help in any shape or form, even though I wear the primary hat as the co-lead for education and workforce development. Everything from Unidata is up for grabs, can be used by iGuide, and we would be very happy to help the project in other ways as well.
Yeah, so I feel these are resources for some people. Maybe they already know, but I'm not sure about the research team on iGuide. So still probably some education, and as low-hanging fruits, I think at least to spread that information and help people to decide whether some of the data sets are useful to them. Those are probably some early things that we could do already.
Yeah.
Other comments?
Yeah, I think this is wonderful what Mohan you shared with us today. I think this is exactly kind of the things we are looking for. And as Carol was saying, probably not many in our science team know. There are few, of course, who are connected with meteorology who might know the tools that you have very well, but there might be quite a few others who don't know the capabilities we provide. And yeah, I think we need to make kind of, maybe we this is a simple list we can start within our team. Like, what are the maybe go into one level more detail. Hey, we have this capability from Unidata, from GeoEDF, from CyberGSX. We have talked about maybe go into one level detail. What are the capabilities that are provided? And then maybe share this with our science teams to say, hey, what are the things that you would like the most for us to focus on, to start integrating? Would it be the data movement? Would it be cyber infrastructure, like use of Exceed resources? Would it be more on the gateway kind of side of things? So yeah, I think that would be maybe some of the next steps we could do as a team here, to communicate with the science team, to tell them what we have.
And some on the science team, like David Tarbuton, he has worked with Unidata for a number of years, so
Right.
he is quite familiar with many of our tools and offerings.
Right.
And I think even just kind of talk about the type of data sets available. I don't know if that could, because I'm thinking whether maybe extreme conditions and things like that, could that be useful to people working on resilience and those things, data fusion and things like that. And one thing I'm really excited is, Mohan, you probably have people who are very knowledgeable about all kinds of different data formats and how to get them into transform them in for downstream use. So I'm sure if some of the data sets are useful to the science team, we'll probably need to help them do some of the transformations. So even if it's not your developers actually doing it, but the knowledge, I think it would be very important.
Sure.
I just want to quickly echo, this is super helpful. Just to highlight one potential benefit as we would construct our iGuide platform here. What do we have learned today? There's a tremendous knowledge to leverage from the Unidata experience, right? To maximize leverage and taking advantage of the technical capabilities as well as the experience Unidata has been accumulating over the years so that we could accelerate our process of getting the iGuide platform developed and established without reinventing the wheels, and also minimize any potential overlap, maximize the leverage. So I think super grateful, right, that we have Mohan on the team and the Unidata behind us.
Absolutely.
And I'm sure folks at NSF would be happy to see one NSF funded project collaborating with another NSF funded project, which doesn't happen very often.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I think, really powerful collaboration. We do not even have a small fraction. I heard Mohan, you said, 20 some FTEs is not certainly a big operation, but compared to what iGuide has in this regard is quite significant.
Significant.
But I absolutely agree with you. Unidata would deserve more. You should interview that person who said you got more need for maybe 100 people, and then record that for the staff. But anyway, but that speaks to our philosophy, right? To maximize the leverage and to find the niche iGuide should be situated in, and leverage and take advantage of what's already out there.
So before we go off, before people start dropping off, I just want to remind everybody our upcoming meetings. So first week of January, we don't have a meeting. Then on the 11th, right now it's scheduled for HydroShare presentation, Jeff. And if you want to bring Dave, whoever, that would be great. Unfortunately, Rajesh and we have our NSF review of our Anvil system, so we won't be able to attend. But if the team wants to meet, or most of you guys are available, go ahead, meet and record. We can visit later.
Yeah, I'm happy to do it on that day. So Tony's here. Tony, I volunteered us to tag team a HydroShare presentation on that day. So I threw you under the bus, but only halfway.
Okay, great.
Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. No, that's perfect. Yeah, I've missed a couple meetings in a row here, so that'd be great. And you said the 11th?
Yes.
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah. We'll Jeff, let's talk offline and figure out what we're gonna do.
Yep. Sounds great.
And I guess we will record it for Carol and Rajesh.
Yeah. Want to quickly say happy holidays. Thanks so much for everyone. You are the team, actually the last team meeting before the holidays. That speaks a volume of how devoted and committed you are to iGuide. So yeah, cannot say enough thanks. I got to run to a different meeting, so sorry to abruptly depart here, but great seeing everyone. And
Happy holidays, everyone.
Yeah.
Happy
Happy holidays,
Happy holidays.
everyone.
And Happy New
Yeah.
Year.
Yep.
Yeah.
Happy New Year.
thanks very much.
Thank
See
you.
ya.
All right.
Bye.
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 Thanks, everybody. Bye for now.